Hello guys, this is Mike from McProgramming.org. In this video I'm going to talk about a type comparison operator called instance of. And what instance of is it's a Java keyword. All Java keywords in Eclipse at least are this maroon color, and they can only be used for one thing. That's why they're keywords. And what it will do is the instance of operator compares an object to another specified type, and you can use it to test if the object is an instance of a class, an instance of the subclass, or an instance of a class that implements a particular interface. So what that means is I'm going to draw a real abstract, useless program, and just to give you the idea of what a instance of can do. So first I'm going to create an interface. I'm just going to call this interface. Make sure it's capital I. If it was lowercase I, it wouldn't work because interface, as you can see right here, the lowercase is also a reserved word or keyword. So I'm not going to put any code in there. I'm going to write a class, and we're going to call this super class. Yeah, that'll be fine. And we can, let's see. Let's just see if we say interface default package. Okay, so you can put an interface in when you create a class, or you can just type it in. I never really use this, so I'm kind of going off the cuff right now. And it does work, so that worked. Now let's create another class, and we're going to call this a subclass. And it will, the superclass it's extending is a class called superclass. And I'm not going to put any methods or anything within these classes. The point of this tutorial is to see, we're going to instantiate objects from these classes, but we're going to test if something is an instance of a particular class. So let's create a super class object. Let's just call that S1, and we'll say equals new superclass. And we don't have any parameters, obviously, so just open and close some parentheses and a semicolon. And now we're going to create a subclass, and we'll say S2 equals new subclass. Okay, so we're going to want to print out the results. So I will end up putting the code I'm about to write in a system.out.println statement, but the way you structure this is a little bit different from the way you're used to coding. Where you're going to say, if you want to test if S2 is an instance of S1, which means is this subclass an instance of the superclass, which it should be because it extends the superclass. You're going to say S1 and a space, and you're going to say all lowercase letters instance of space, and see how it turns that maroon color. Make sure if it's not turning that maroon color in Eclipse, then you're not typing it right. And you're going to say S2. And that's the code. It's not, let me see why it's giving me error now. But we're going to put this in a, oh, I know what I'm doing wrong. I'm not supposed to do it to the variable type. You're supposed to do an instance of the actual class name. So let's say superclass. Sorry about that. So now what we want to do is we want to system.out.println this code. And like I said, this should be true because, say that, S2. Sorry, so the subclass S2 should be an instance of the superclass because the superclass extends, or the subclass extends the superclass. So let's see what happens. And these are, it will return a Boolean result, true or false. And that's true. So let me copy and paste this and make a couple of these Copy, paste, paste, paste. Okay. So now let's say, is S1 an instance of the superclass? Now I'm going to comment these out. And S1 is the superclass, so it should be an instance of it. So another true. Okay, now let's test if the subclass, or excuse me, the superclass is an instance of the subclass. I'm going to let you think about this for a second before I hit the run button. So, is the superclass an instance of the subclass? Does it come from the subclass? And the answer is false. No, because the subclass actually comes from the superclass. So, going up in the hierarchy is going to return a false. Let's say is S1, excuse me, is S2 an instance of the subclass? And you should already know that from the above example. Anything that is of that class is an instance of that class. That's true. So now let's use this interface and see how that works. Say, is S2 an instance of interface? And these are very abstract names, just kind of explaining what that would be, but in a real world situation you wouldn't really want to call the classes these names or the interface that name. And that's true. S2 is an instance of the interface, and S1 should be as well. True. So that's what instance of is. And there's also another little method I wanted to show you. If you lose track of a variable name to an object and you want to figure out what class it belongs to, you can run a simple little code. Sys out control space, and it would be, let's say that we were way down here in this code and we wanted to know what class S1 belonged to. Write S1 dot get class, and if you run that, it should print out superclass. It says the class it belongs to is superclass. So that's this tutorial is basically just showing the relationship again, beating inheritance into your head and implementation. And the next video is going to be on polymorphism, and it's going to take inheritance to a different approach of inheritance. So thank you for watching, and please subscribe.